But with the 39th pick, I had the Bears taking Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle from Michigan. A lot of great things to say about Kenneth Grant.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I like guys, specifically linemen, who played in big conferences, right?
Yeah.
Big Ten, SEC, because they're going up against NFL caliber competition on a daily basis, right? They're playing against people that will be playing on Sundays, not people that will be working at Amazon. No offense, that's a great career. It's a great career.
Hey.
Shout out Will Campbell. I stole that bar from him, but he's playing up against people that will be playing on Sundays, right? This is a guy who's a national champion, played alongside Mason Graham. I think the Bears really need to improve the interior of their defensive line. Well, the defensive line, I think, in general, needs a little bit more depth. But the interior specifically, I like Dexter. But, number one, I think there needs to be another one. Number two, I wonder if Dexter may be playing defensive end now, because I don't know if you've seen him, but he looks a little slimmer.
Yeah,
so maybe that vacation in Cancun, he was working his butt off.
Helped him out. Yeah.
Or Dennis Allen said, hey, we're going to bump you outside. Why don't you lose a little weight? Why don't you get a little quicker? I think both of those are in place. So Kenneth Grant, I think, is a great player. He's the type of guy that I would really like to have in the second round. I think, are you getting, Aaron Donald? Probably not.
No.
Are you getting a starting caliber defensive tackle who's going to, be good for several seasons? I think that's Kenneth Grant. I like taking him 39th overall. Now, what's interesting for the Bears is that due to the Carolina trade, we have pick 39, you have pick 40, and then we have pick 41. So there's only one pick kind of sandwiched in between our 2 second-round selections. So some of these players are going to be repeats. Some of these players, you're going to be able to pick 2 players that you want right in a row. But, Justin, I'll ask you, who was your 41st overall pick for the Bears?
the one you just mentioned, Kenneth Grant.
Kenneth Grant, wow.
I think you hit it spot on with what you were saying about him. For a lot of the mock drafts that I've seen and researched, a lot of them are offensively focused, which is important. I think we do need to improve a few things on our offensive end. But I also think, like you said, our interior defense is not as deep as I would like it to be. So I think by adding, a former national champion, somebody who knows how to win, I think this is it's a good pick. I think for me, any pick after the second round, it's not really a risk, right? Because we know really in the first day or two, I don't want to say all the good picks are gone, but all of the franchise changers.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Now you're when you're looking into the second round, now you're looking into your role players, or you're looking into your guys that you're looking to develop.
Like quality starters, not so much like superstars.
No, not at all. So I think for me, like, if I'm the Chicago Bears and I'm picking in the second round, I'm filling up. I'm looking at the other holes in our offense or defense that we need to plug in that aren't as urgent.
Yeah, and me and Justin kind of had very similar mindsets when talking about this draft, because I took Kenneth Grant with pick 39. He took a running back with pick 39.
Yeah.
He took Kenneth Grant with pick 41, and I'm taking a running back with pick 41.
yeah.
I have a different flavor of running back, however.
Okay.
I prefer, in terms of when you're thinking about the tiers of running backs in this class, you have Genty and you have Omari and Hampton in the first tier.
Yeah.
In the second tier, I think at the top of tier 2, and I understand this is a hot take, and I understand this is controversial, I like Quinshon Jenkins, number 1 in that tier. I think this is a guy who is a freak athlete, right?
Former national champion.
Yeah, reigning national champion with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Split carries with Trayvon Henderson at Ohio State. I kind of like the fact that his legs are fresher, right?
Yeah.
Like Genty, one drawback with him is he had so many carries in college, and the offense ran through him literally, that I wonder if maybe he'll break down easier in the NFL.
Yeah.
But with Jenkins, like, that was not an issue, right? He split time. He was, I think he won, he was a freshman All-American at Ole Miss, transferred to Ohio State, was great at Ohio State. This guy's got freak athleticism. He's a little bit, bigger, right? So maybe he's not as straight line quick as like a DeAndre Swift is, for example.
Yeah.
But I think that this is the perfect David Montgomery style running back that Ben Johnson is going to want to have in Chicago.
Yeah.
You get your Jahmyr Gibbs maybe at a later date or whatever, but he is, I think, a workhorse bell cow running back. I would love to see him in a Bears uniform.
Yeah.
At pick 41, we have a drop off until 72. So I'm thinking, in one of these second round picks, they're really going to target the running back position.
They are.
I like him doing it at either 39 or 41. Get a running back, get the guy from Ohio State, and I think we're happy. So those are the first couple of rounds for the Bears. Let's move on to round 3 for the Bears, 72nd overall. I'll start with this one, Justin. I will go with Cameron Williams, the offensive tackle out of Texas. He's a big boy, right?
He is a big boy.
He's like 6'6", 315. He played 15 games at right tackle last year for Texas. And the scouting report on him is that from a measurable standpoint, from a strength standpoint, from an arm length standpoint, this guy is awesome.
Yeah,
he is everything you want.
Yeah.
Is he the best athlete we've ever seen? Not really.
Yeah,
is he going to struggle a little bit with the bend and the quickness of NFL caliber defensive ends? I think so. But in the third round, when you're going with the 72nd overall, like Justin said, you're not taking superstars, right? No. You're taking potential.
Yeah.
I think Cameron Williams has great potential in the NFL. The good thing for him is that he won't have to start right away, right? Braxton Jones, assuming we don't take a left tackle at 10 overall, should be the day one starter. Darnell Wright will be the day one starter at right tackle.
Yeah.
So we have the tackles bookended. As we know, we all address the guards and center positions in free agency. Cameron Williams, to me, is not a guy that you start week 1, day 1, maybe even year 1. He's a guy that you let develop, get a little quicker, work with his hands a little bit.
Yeah.
The scouting report on him is that a lot of times his upper body and his lower body are a bit disjointed. They don't work in unison as much. Just get him in a position where he is, from a technical standpoint, a much better player.
Yeah.
And I think that you have a solid get at pick 72 for the Bears. And again, we're taking O-lineman. That's never a bad thing for a young quarterback like Caleb Williams. Beef up the O-line, get the big boy from Texas. That's what I say at pick 72, Justin. What say you?
Man, I'm kind of sticking with the Texas train here, and another big boy, but on the defensive end, I'm going to go with Alfred Collins.
Okay.
I think when you had mentioned earlier about us really improving the depth of our defensive line, I think this is the guy to do it. I think any offensive or defensive lineman that's coming out of Texas is a good pick.
They're different down there.
Yeah, they're different.
They're different down there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're known for. So I think he had very, very decent draft, our scouting combine, rankings and stuff like that. I mean, 26-inch vertical jump, 8-inch broad jump. I think for me, you're getting a guy that
8-inch broad jump, 8 feet.
Like I said, it's been a couple of weeks since we've had an episode, so I'm just completely.
It's like this guy's the worst athlete ever.
Yeah,
he's broad jumping 8 inches. Yeah. It's like, why are you emphasizing?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
funny.
Hopefully, if that was the real case, then I would not want to draft that guy.
No. That's probably what the fridge is broad jump
was
back in the day.
Yeah, that was back in the day. But overall, I think this is a guy that you can grow, that you can develop, and that can be a quality starter later on down the line. And like you said, that can grow with our new defensive coordinators that we just got.
Yeah, and I'm noticing a trend between both of us, Justin. We're taking a lot of big school guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm speaking on behalf of both of us. I'll speak on my behalf for just a second. I prefer guys from big schools.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand that there are a lot of really talented players at smaller schools, even Division II schools. But for me, it really does mean something when you are going up against NFL caliber players in practice, in big games, in the playoffs. That means something to me, right? It's really hard to judge sometimes when a guy goes to, no disrespect, University of Texas, El Paso, right? Who are you playing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why, again, sometimes those guys fall and they're really good in the NFL. Take Tariq Woolen, for example. But I do just prefer big school guys.
Yeah.
If push came to shove, I would take the guy from the big school just because he has that experience, probably had higher caliber coaching.
Yes,
probably,
that's a big thing.
Like I said, played in bigger games against better opponents. It's just one of those things. So I do tend to lean more towards the big school guys just in general.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my fault. Maybe that's a flaw. But you see last year, we took I'm blanking on his name in the immediate point, but we took the offensive tackle from Yale.
Yes.
Well, who's he playing at Yale, right? He went in and he got cooked. He was awful. Right? He almost got Caleb Williams killed. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the caliber of opponent, I think, played a factor in that one. Right?
It
Wasn't as good. Speaking of that, though, in the 5th round, this is where I think, at least from my perspective, the Bears have 1 5th-round pick and they have 2 7ths. Yeah. You're looking at depth. You're looking at guys that you hope are going to make the roster. Yeah. Right? We're probably not going to get a starter in our last 3 picks. It would be great if we did. It would be awesome. Probably not going to happen. Maybe with the 5th, maybe not. I went with depth, guys that I think would fill positions of need. Even though, we addressed it in free agency, I still do think we need a little bit of help on the defensive end part. I talked about D tackles with Kenneth Grant. I'm taking Savion Jones, the defensive end from LSU. Again, a big school guy, played in the SEC, played against like Alabama and Georgia and Texas now in the SEC. He is just going to be a great depth piece for the Bears. He'll probably have to contribute on special teams. And I think there's a little bit of juice with Jones. So, maybe we can unlock that. But again, we're not picking Hall of Famers in the 57th round. I don't think so, right?
You never know.
I would love to be wrong. Yeah. I would love to be wrong, but probably not going to happen. So I'll take Savion.
Everyone loves the underdog story. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, no. So my pick, it's funny that we just, totally gave, smaller schools crap. But yeah, that's actually one of my picks is David Walker, edge from Central Arkansas. But if you look at his sacks, he had a collegiate career of 31 sacks and 191 tackles. He was very productive. So I will say sometimes you do get that diamond in the rough of an athlete who just performs well no matter if it's Division I, Division II, Division III, Pac-12, whatever college, division that they're in, they're still able to perform and help their team and dominate. And I think this guy is definitely going to be that way. I think, hopefully he'll be able to fall for us, in the 5th round. But I think if he does, it's something that can be helpful for us, helpful for, Dennis Allen to kind of help him get situated. I think Ben Johnson will definitely have some say in, where he falls on the depth chart. But I think, once again, you have a guy who has good stats in college. It is Central Arkansas, so I don't really know.
Central Arkansas is FCS, I believe, right?
Yeah, so I
could be wrong. Yeah.
It's not a no-name school, but
again, you're talking about a guy who went to a small school, but he was very productive. So
yeah, he was.
If you go to a small school, you better put up good stats.
Yeah, you got to put up numbers.
You better put up good stats, and if you're not, we got issues. I'm going to go ahead and just lump both of our 7th round picks, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So the Bears have pick 233 and pick 240. Again, I went with 2 depth pieces for the Bears. I went with Kobe Hudson, the receiver out of USF, and then I went with Jermani Harris, the corner out of Iowa. If Jermani Harris can replicate any of the ability of Cooper DeJean,
I'll take it. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, Iowa has been a really good defensive program for years now, and their DBs, especially the uniqueness of their DBs, if you know what I mean, have been excellent. So I'm just taking a guy again from a good program, a depth piece. Guy probably might not make the roster, but you know what? It's okay. It's a 7th round pick. I wouldn't be surprised too, Justin, if we actually bundled both of these 7th round picks to move up, maybe in the 5th round or early in the 6th round or something. Because I think of 7th round picks as kind of disposable, I guess is the right word. So, sorry, I don't have an in-depth scouting report for both of my 7th round guys. But listen, they probably won't make the roster, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's the draft for a reason. There's 260 players taken. Not all of them are going to make rosters.
It would be funny if you look at this video 2 years from now and somebody clips it of you saying what you just said and they're the NFL Hall of Fame.
Jermani Harris has 15 picks a year every year. Yeah, he's just he's modern day Deion.
Yeah. I watched this
again.
video.
If I'm wrong, I will never be happy to be clipped. This will be awesome.
Right.
But
give us some clout, please. No. Yeah.